how who I am today. And that's why I love to talk to young girls and say, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I teach my sons, like, a closed mouth do not get fed. You got to speak up and articulate what you need, because nobody's going to read your mind. You have to be able to ask for help. And for me, I didn't want the rejection. I didn't want the letdown or the disappointment. So therefore, I'm not asking, because I already know that I only can depend on you probably 10%. You know what I mean? So I'm not even wasting my time or my energy coming to you. I'm just going to figure it out on my own. And whereas you can't get caught up on it if they can't do it. You can't take it personal. You have to learn, hey, this is what I need. Can you support me on this? If you can, great. If you can't, okay, let me move on and go to the next source. But I didn't develop that until.
You're listening to the First Class Life Show, hosted by Lindsay Vertner, a holistic personal development show for high-achieving leaders who desire to maximize their impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. So grab a drink, grab your notebook, and let's get started. Hey, First Class family. Welcome back to another episode of the First Class Life Show. Look, I'm so excited already. I'm hitting my mic and all kinds of things, but it's okay because we are going to be on fire, if you can't tell by our uncoordinated reds. It was not planned that we both have on solid red shirts and red lipsticks, okay? That's how you know this episode is going to be hot and sizzling. So get your pen and pads ready so that you can take all the notes, and make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share, do all the things, because sharing is caring. And listen, I know that you are out there maximizing your impact while creating your first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. So we don't have time to waste. Let us hop into this conversation with the beautiful, the gorgeous Kizzy Dogan. Welcome. How are you?
I am fantastic. Happy to be here. How are you today?
I am well to see a bright and smiling face. And listen, I'm just so excited to hop into this conversation and talk about all the things. But I need for you to tell the First Class family, like, who is Kizzy Dogan really? Like, give us the good hot fire gossip, okay?
So Kizzy Dogan is a uptown girl, Washingtonian, native Washingtonian, born in Washington, D.C., raised in uptown. For those of us who are here from D.C., we know that you have uptown, downtown, south, all of that. But I'm an uptown girl. I have siblings. I was raised, I'm born in Washington, D.C., like I stated, grew up in a predominantly Black environment. In my middle school years, moved to Gaithersburg, which is predominantly white, complete culture shock. And it was like, Mom, why are we here? Well, why did you put us here? So it was that type of thing, but it happened to be a great experience as well, because I learned a lot and learned how to become a chameleon, so to speak. And I can always tell my kids I can walk in any room and talk to anybody, because I know the hood, I know the street, I know corporate, I know it all. And I could just be myself in the middle of all of that. But that's who Kizzy is. I'm a boy mom. I have 3 amazing sons. I'm an entrepreneur. I love to hang out with my friends. I love Sunday fun day. I love brunch. That's pretty much who I am. I'm a loud sports mom, but I am passionate about cheering girls on and helping them become their best selves. So that's who Kizzy is in a nutshell.
Ooh, listen, I heard you say that you had a culture shock because you were one of few, if any, in the predominantly white space. Can we talk about that for a second? Because I am very familiar with that myself, okay? And I know that we have a lot of Black people, African Americans, people of color that are tuned into this show. And if you're not a person of color, stay tuned in. You might learn you something, okay? But what was that like, just for your identity, for your personality, as far as just being in that predominantly white space?
Oh my goodness. Initially, it was a shock, and it was not something that my sister and I were happy about. because we came from growing up, Washington, D.C. is kind of like we live in a bubble here, so to speak. And so we've been saying Black excellence forever, Black doctors, Black teachers, Black, I don't know, trash man, Black store owner, Black entrepreneur, Black everything, right? And so we have seen it, don't get me wrong. Of course, we have, poverty-stricken environments, but for the most part, we've been seeing Black excellence for our entire lives. So to leave from here and then to, like you said, go and be one or maybe two, if we have two, we're like, oh my, hey girl, hey, that type of thing. But it was like, I don't like it here. I don't like this space. I don't like the way it feels. I don't like anything about it. But you have to adapt. You have to like, okay, this is where we are. So I need to just make the best of it. And that's what I did. I did meet some really cool people, really nice, interesting friends. I had great teachers, not all of them. No, you know how that goes. But, for the most part, I survived. And I will say, though, that I kind of was no longer interested in being on the student council or being a cheerleader or being anything related to school. I just was like, okay, I'm just going to do what I need to do and get the grades that I need to get so I won't get my behind spanked, by my mama or whatever. But for the most part, I didn't strive for excellence once I moved there. Like I went from seeing Black excellence to let me just coast on through and get through. And it wasn't until later on that I realized that I did a disservice to myself from not striving for excellence. But that's how that space was for me. It was not, I wasn't like mistreated or anything. Like people were like, hey, we want to be your friend. You're the cool girl, You're the smart, cool Black girl. We want to be your friend. And I was not more so like, I'm not interested, so that was how that experience was for me. And, but I survived and I'm thriving. But I think that a part of that, though, I will say it has taught me how to maneuver in certain spaces. And it has taught me how to view how their point of view. And because I'm like, oh, I know this. I've experienced this at 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. I know how this works, So I will say it was like a learning experience that trained me for the future and prepared me for the future.
That is really interesting to hear your dynamic because you started off in the presence of Black excellence and then you transferred to being one of few in a predominantly white space. For me personally, it was the opposite. It was like I grew up in the predominantly white space. So although there were Black people around and, I was in tune with my Black culture as far as, the spaces that we hung out in my family and all of that stuff. But I really didn't see Black excellence until I left for college. And then it's like, oh, wait, there's all these Black people doing great things. There's Black people that are wealthy and, so it's funny to hear the dichotomy like between us, whereas like you went and it sounds like you kind of shrunk yourself versus I grew up being that overachiever that, excelling for the best because it always felt like you had to do extra. And I'm sure you've heard of that notion before. Many listeners have heard like, you got to be the best. Whenever you're Black, you got to work twice as hard and all that stuff. And it was like an efforts to prove yourself that, hey, I'm just as good as you are, equally good, probably better. But, you're getting all of the accolades, doing half the work, and here I am doing double, triple the work, just to prove that I'm equally as good. So it's very interesting to hear like the difference in that.
I think I was maybe I didn't realize it, but maybe I was rebelling, because I was smart and that's what I got by on. It wasn't because I studied. It wasn't because I worked hard. It was just, I was smart enough. And I could remember things and I could take a test and get a C, maybe a B, and that helped me out. Because I certainly wasn't participating in class and I wasn't doing homework. I was a hot mess, but I managed to maintain honor roll, but barely make the honor roll, like that type of thing. So you're right. I just shrunk myself. I don't know what, but it was like, I don't like it here. And I just don't, I feel like my mom at the time wanted us to have better and do better and see better. And so we moved from a predominantly Black neighborhood to this predominantly white neighborhood. And I'm like, Mom, white isn't always better. You know, I know we think that sometimes, like we want to, of course, the schools are better, yes. And, you know, the air might be a little fresher or cleaner or whatever. But I'm like, this is not better, Mom. Like we were thriving. Like I was like on a fast track to working on Capitol Hill, possibly, you know what I mean? So now I don't know what I'm gonna do. So yeah, I just, but I will say, like I said in previously, I didn't know it at the time, but it did prepare me for adulthood and how to cope and deal and manage people and manage expectations as well.
Are you loving the First Class Live Show? Then join our private Patreon community. Not only will you help to support our ability to provide you with great content, but you can also get exclusive perks like bonus videos and resources, discounts, episode transcripts, and more. So what are you waiting for? Join today at patreon.com/firstclasslife. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com/firstclasslife. Yes, and I love that you said white is not always right. So my elementary school was very mixed culture. So like there were Black people, there were white people. And I remember one of my teachers, I was in the gifted and talented program. So in case someone is not like aware of what that is, or it's called something else where you grew up, that is like a program for high achieving educational students. Like whenever you're in certain grades, they have you take this test, and if you score over a certain level, then you're considered a high achiever. You're gifted and talented, and so like you get extra classes, not extra classes, but you kind of get to miss some of the basic classes and do something more challenging and more fun up to your levels, you know, essentially, so you don't get bored with school type of thing. And so I was in the gifted and talented program in elementary school, and I remember one of my teachers talking to my mom when it was time to go to middle school. She was like, I don't think you should send your daughter to her feeder school, which was called McGarry, where I'm from, but she should go to Plaza. I don't think she'll be challenged where she's headed. So I think you need to send her to Plaza. And Plaza was the white school. It was out in the white suburbs, and like literally my mom shipped me across because we had moved even further away. So literally she would drive across town to drop me off at this white school. And yes, it did, as far as like my academics helped me there and keeping me challenged and all of that good stuff. But it was like, y'all, they was just as crazy. Like I remember being in the 6th grade and one of my white classmates teaching me the lyrics to this nasty ass song, excuse me, First Class Family, like that I ain't ever heard of. And I'm like, I mean, I was singing it, keeping up, but we shouldn't have been singing that song in the 6th grade, okay? Just noticing like there were a lot of issues there, but it also built up an inner limiting belief that I didn't at the time recognize that I had, which was that feeling of not being good enough. And so I definitely know that as an adult, what that means and how it manifested in my life. But in middle school, I didn't realize how it was furthering the belief of not being good enough because, one, I'm at this new school, and yes, I know a few people, but really there's already the cliques formed because this group of students, they had gone to the same elementary school, so they already knew each other and already had friendships. And here I am coming to this new middle school where all my friends went to a different middle school. And so I'm having to make new friends. I'm having to essentially prove myself. And, it further fed into my hyperachiever. Now I've got to excel at all of these things, and just different things like that. And really further ingrain that I'm not good enough. And so let me prove myself, let me overachieve, let me be a people pleaser, because if these people like me, if I'm achieving this, if I'm achieving that, then I must be good enough type of thing there. So what would you say are some beliefs that maybe being in that situation you started to take on for yourself?
For me, being in that situation, what I realize is that I don't have to work hard to accomplish certain things, because I can look at my white counterparts and see they were not doing anything. I mean, basically, they were paying people to do papers, all types of foolishness, and I'm like, I never heard of that. Like, you pay somebody to write a paper for you? Like, first of all, I don't even have the $25 to do that. But even the notion, but I began to believe, like, oh, this is how you fake it till you make it type of thing. And this is how I don't even need to really work hard. I could just do the bare minimum. And so where you decided that you were going to be an overachiever or a high achiever, I realized in this space, you really don't, they're not that great. They're not that, and they're still doing big things. So but I didn't realize I didn't have that. I didn't have so that didn't apply to me, but that's what I had adopted. I had adopted that notion that you don't really have to do that much to be great. You can just do the bare minimum and you can get by on who you know, what you know, a little bit of what you know, but mostly who you know. And so I picked that up, and then I just started to live like that, like through high school and through college and through my early 20s, like just just get a bare minimum. And then I realized, well, that's really not getting me anywhere. First of all, I don't have a trust fund. I don't have the connections. I don't even know these right people. Like when they say it's all in who you know. Well, who do you know, Kizzy? Like, you don't know anybody. So I had to really redirect that. But that's what I initially picked up from that, because I could just watch my peers and see they weren't that smart. Some of them were, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them were not that smart, but they were still doing things. And I was like, oh, all this Black excellence and achievement that I've been hearing about all my life, they probably going to the extreme. We probably could just do bare minimum and, make it and still live a happy, healthy life. Wrong. That's totally wrong. Listeners, that is totally wrong. You really have to do the work and show up and put forth effort. It takes effort, yes. But that's what I adopted when I was in that space that, that's why I stopped achieving. So I was like you, I wasn't gifted and talented as well. And I remained in that all through high school and everything. Mm-hmm. But like I said, because I could get by on a bare minimum. I had mastered how to do that, and I realized when I got to 30, this is really not working out, because you're not living your best life. You're living an okay life, but it's not your best life, So I had to work on that. But yeah, unfortunately, that's what I developed when I was growing up in that space, that the bare minimum is okay. Mediocre is okay. My mom would cringe if she heard me say that, but yeah, it's okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. And for me, that wasn't an option. Mediocre was not okay. So it's so crazy, how we're living the same experience, but different at the same time, as far as some of the things. And, I always felt compared to my white counterparts. So for example, I remember one time I was just having a bad day in my middle school. And remind you, like, I'm not in that district. I am in a completely different district. And like, my nerves was just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. I don't remember why I was having a bad day. I think I already wasn't feeling good, and just, you know, stuff was happening. And there was one white boy, I still remember his name. His initials are RC. That's what I'll say. And he was just picking at me, and I get he was like trying to be funny or whatever, but read the room, bro. Read the room. And like, I remember we were walking down the hallway and he had said something else, and I just turned around, like I stopped dead in my tracks, turned around, I took my fist and I punched him in the face. And like,
everybody was
like, yes, exactly. Because what? Friendly, nice Lindsay did what? And he wasn't expecting that. Shoot, I didn't even know I was going to do that, because I wasn't a fighter. Like, I wasn't getting in fights and doing all of those things like that. Like, I was the good straight A student, friendly, you know, optimistic, all the things. And so when I went to the office, I remember the principal very much saying, like, you know, you don't have to go here anymore. This is not your district. Like, you can be back at another school. It's like, meanwhile, you got these kids acting a plumb fool. I have one itty bitty thing. Like, yes, granted, I know I hit them, but what about all the rest?
none of that applies.
Not at all. And I remember, like, that kind of sunk in, like, you have to be on your best perfect behavior. Otherwise, they will find any little thing to hold against you. And even on my freshman year of high school, like, yes, there were more Black people, but it was still predominantly white space. And I remember being on the cheer squad, and then I legitimately got sent home sick from school, like, by the nurse. And I looked for both of my coaches, and I couldn't find both of my coaches before I left to let them know that I was going home sick. And so I told one of the other cheer coaches that wasn't my direct coach that I was going home sick. Please tell me why that one missed practice, I got kicked off the team. Meanwhile, there is another cheerleader that is white, that was tall and lanky like me. And ironically, she had the same name. It was like the Black version and the white version that, you know, is drunk, but she doesn't get kicked off. Like, you are underage drinking, but you don't get kicked. So it only further ingrained, like, you have to be better. You have to be the best to even be in the game at all.
Hey, I know it can be exhausting blazing the trail and creating a legacy. And you're at the point in your life where you desire peace and rest. You want to enjoy both the physical freedom and financial freedom to live life on your terms. You understand the importance of prioritizing your self-care. And you know that you're worthy of transformational experiences surrounded by other high-achieving, goal-oriented women just like you. That's why you deserve to be treated like VIP at the First Class Life Luxury Self-Care Retreat for Women. You deserve to show up and just be you, away from the titles and roles that keep you busy from day to day. You deserve the luxury to fully unplug. It's time for you to embrace your first class life. Visit firstclassliferetreats.com to secure your VIP spot today, because you deserve it.
That's good for you. Good for you, because I'm telling you, I just was like, oh, well, if it works for them, it's going to work for me. But I realized, and now this is what I instill this in my sons, like, every single day. Your skin is dark, you are a male, and you have to be excellent. And so I drive them crazy with wanting them to just be like perfect. And I'm like, I know it's no such thing as perfect, but you need to be as close to it as you possibly can, because this is how the world views you. And you cannot go into this space and behave in this manner because, first of all, you may have the name, Carter and a Jackson and a Kobe, but you don't have the skin tone and we don't have the pocketbook. We don't have any of that. So we're not privileged for you to misbehave. So I realized what I didn't do. I'm like, oh no, you're not going to adapt my thinking. No, because I was completely wrong. Yes. And I did not. I was just like, well, if they can do it, I'm doing it. Yeah, I'm in this space too. Like that was my whole attitude about it. I'm in this space, and if they, although I knew goodness well I wasn't coming to school smoking cigarettes or drinking, because some of my friends, they were smoking cigarettes at 13 or 14, and I'm like, I never seen that before. So it's interesting how you grow up in an urban community and there's drugs, of course, or whatever. You may see the man that's always sitting in front of the store sitting out there, but that was it. I've never seen kids smoking cigarettes or kids talking about drugs, like to your point, the young girl teaching you that the lyrics to a song. You curse at your mama. What? You know what I mean? Like, I never, like, what in the world? Mom, we're going to be living because this is my mom's like, and you better not try it. Because I would come home and say, Mom, you wouldn't believe so-and-so was smoking cigarettes before we got on the bus. Because, we got school bus. In D.C., you catch public transportation. But in Maryland, you have transportation to school by a school bus. And so I never knew when I saw a school, I'm like, oh, wow, they come and you get to a bus stop and they oh. I'm used to walking or getting on a bus with a token, a metro bus. So, yeah, I was like, it's my cigarette. And my mom like, and you better not try it.
Yes.
I'm trying it. No, so I knew how far to go, but at the same time, I just was like, nah. Work hard for what?
Yes. So I know you had that culture shock, being in a predominantly white space, but then you also suffered a loss during those formative years. Tell us a little bit about that. 2 losses, if you will, during those formative years, and just share with us what that looked like and what that did to your identity.
Oh, absolutely. So when I was 14 in 9th grade, my mom passed away from cancer. So I had to suffer from going from having just a single mom because my dad, my parents were married. I never witnessed them being in a healthy marriage because when I was 2, my dad was got incarcerated. He was in and out of prison into my early 20s. Probably 24, if I'm correct, and so I grew up without my dad. He would call, so I would talk to him a lot, and I would visit him. So he had a presence, but not physically being in the home as him and my mom being husband and wife. I don't even know what that looked like, because I never seen it from them. But my mom died at 14, like I said, and so I was always what they would consider like, oh, she's so grown, she's so mature, that was my MO. Like I was the grown girl, of the 2 of us, my sister and I. She was the quiet one and I was the grown one, So I guess she was the good one, I was the bad one. Like that's how our identity was. And so at least that's how I took it. And that's how it was, because I was always like, now, like that look from the elders, like, okay, girl, you so it was that. But I had to then, you guys always considered me grown, and now it's like you need to grow up. Like I really had to grow up, and now I have to be independent, and I have to navigate this world alone. And at least that's how I felt. I've always felt that I was navigating this world by myself, or on an island all by myself. And because I felt misunderstood a lot of times, because where I am, I'm just being my bubbly, loud, outspoken self is perceived as I'm being aggressive, or I am talking back, or I'm being grown. I'm like, I'm not being grown. I'm just, I'm a curious person. Oh, I I'm thought provoking. You know, I'm asking these serious questions. And to some people, it's like, I know, like I can recall a time I asked my mom how much money did she make, and she was so offended, like appalled at me that I even had the audacity to ask that question. I'm like, I'm just trying to understand how I'm gonna make some money and how this thing works, because I like nice things, you know. So I'm not trying to get up in your business like that. So and instead of her teaching me about salaries and what this means and how this works, she just said, I make enough. That's all you need to know. I make enough to take care of you. And I'm like, okay, Mom, no problem. I guess I'm gonna ask that again. You know? But yeah, that loss for me, I've always, like I said, felt misunderstood, and it just made me feel at that point I'm alone. So at that point, from 14 up until just recently, honestly, I've always felt that I was alone. Yes, I had family. Yes, I had friends, but only, to me, they were just to a certain level of there for me. You know, I could rely on them to a certain point, but not fully and completely like I needed. And so I've just always felt alone, and I've always felt like I had to be this strong individual, this strong person, you know, because once my mom passed away, I was out of school, I can recall, for like a week. And then it was back to business as usual. Like, that's it. Okay, you don't get to cry no more. You don't have to mourn no more. You need to get back to school and get back making some A's and doing what you need to do and behave and get in line with what your mom would want for you. Like, that's what I heard. Your mom would need to be proud of you. You need to make your mom proud. So you need to do this, and you need to behave, and you need to be good, and you need to. So I was just like, okay, let me just get on back to business as usual and do what I'm supposed to do, and never even once had the opportunity to even mourn or even heal or even talk about the trauma of it. So not only do I lose a mom at 14, but people don't realize, I'm saying people as in my family and friends, like, she also doesn't have her dad. So it's two parents that now she's lost. Yes, she has a loving family, because thank God I came from a loving family. I had aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, you know, that nurtured me in a sense, but there was pieces missing, you know. And so that's where I had to learn to, okay, I am here and I have to figure this out on my own. And that was good in a sense, but it's to my detriment as well, because I never learned to ask for help, or I never felt comfortable to speak up and say what I need, what I wanted. You know, I just said, well, it's only me. I am all that I have, and I got to figure this out on my own. And so that's how I went through life, trying to figure it out on my own. Mistake after mistake, but I'm going to figure it out on my own. If I had to read it in a book, listen to a song, something, I'm going to just figure it out on my own. And that's who I am today. And that's why I love to talk to young girls and say, it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I teach my sons, like, a closed mouth do not get fed. You got to speak up and articulate what you need, because nobody's going to read your mind. You have to be able to ask for help. And for me, I didn't want the rejection. I didn't want the letdown or the disappointment. So therefore, I'm not asking, because I already know that I only can depend on you probably 10%. You know what I mean? So I'm not even wasting my time or my energy coming to you. I'm just going to figure it out on my own. And whereas you can't get caught up on it if they can't do it. You can't take it personal. You have to learn, hey, this is what I need. Can you support me on this? If you can, great. If you can't, okay, let me move on and go to the next source. You know, but I didn't develop that until just very recently, because I just didn't want the rejection. I didn't want the disappointment. And I was like, I've already been let down enough. I don't need it anymore. I don't need it anymore. So I'll let myself down before I allow somebody else to let me down.
Yes,
And
a lot of times
an option.
that rejection only feeds into whatever limiting belief that we have.
Yes.
You know, so like, if you're rejected and you have this fear of not being good enough, then you internalize that rejection. Oh, I must not be good enough for you to want to help me, not thinking about, are they even able to help you? Do they have the capacity, the energy to help you? You know, their own personal things that they have going on. Or like if your limiting belief is just that fear of not being lovable, is kind of that same thing. Oh, they must be rejecting me because I'm not worth it. I'm not lovable enough. I'm not likable enough. The different things like that. So what advice would you share to the listener that is feeling alone, that is struggling with feeling like I have to do it all myself because there's nobody that can support me. There's nobody that can help me. I'm out in this world alone. I don't have a support system. What advice would you share with them?
I would tell that listener that you are not alone, number one. God did not create us to be here alone. We have helpmates. I mean, it just what I have learned to realize is I can't take the no personal. So whatever it is that you need, that you're seeking support, there's nothing new under the sun, first of all, nothing new. So you're not the only one going through this. You're not the first one going through this. Like, it has happened in somewhere at some time and place. So do not take no personal, and respect people where they are, because everybody doesn't have the mental capacity to give you what you need, but do not limit yourself from seeking help. As a business owner, coming into becoming an entrepreneur 20 years ago, I knew nothing about business, but I didn't want to appear incompetent or like I wasn't qualified. So I was afraid to ask. That was so stupid of me, because I wasted so much money and time trying to figure things out on my own, when I could have just went to somebody and said, hey, look, I don't know how to do XYZ. Can you help me? And they may not have been able to, but they would have directed me. I wasted time and money. So do not, to this listener, please do not feel like you are alone. I understand how that feels. I've been there, like I said, pretty much my entire life. I've always felt like I was on an island all by myself. But it is not cliche. A closed mouth does not get fed. You have to ask for what you want. Be bold enough to articulate what it is you need, and go find these people. Like, don't stop at the first, no, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Don't stop there. Like, keep going until you get what you need, because there is somebody here to help you. Like, that's how God designed it. There is definitely someone here to help you, to support you, to guide you, to give you what you need. You just have to be able and be vulnerable enough, but open enough to seek them out. Like, the biggest thing I can tell you is don't take it personal. Like, that's another thing. Like, I took it so personal. Like, well, if they tell me no, then it's, I don't know why. No, don't take it personal. Like, and no is just no for them, but not no for someone else. So keep going, and do not, like, this world is too big for us to just be here by ourselves. So there's somebody there to support you in some form or fashion. But you got to articulate it. You got to know what you want and be able to articulate it. Because there's a lot of times when we need so much, but we don't even know what it is we need or what it is we want. Mm-hmm. And then when we go to ask, we're not saying it. We're not asking for what it is we really want. And then we get caught up in the rejection, the feeling of rejection, and then we just stop. And then we go and say, you know what? I knew I shouldn't have asked. I'm going to just figure this out on my own. And then you're going to waste more time and waste more money. Take it from me. You want money in your pocketbook. You want money to do the things you want. You don't want money to waste. So, like, do not waste your time, your energy, whatever it is, on trying to do it and figure it out on your own, because you are not alone. Like, there's somebody out here that is here for you. Like, your purpose, I mean, their purpose is you. So go find them. Mm-hmm. And trust me, they may find you, and be open to it. Like, so that's what I tell people. Like, I sometimes used to go into meetings and everything, and I would never say anything to anybody. I would just go in there, get the information that I needed, and then ease on out the door. And now in retrospect, I'm like, hey, my $1 million contract might have been in that room. And I wasn't even open to it. And I would say, God, please don't let nobody come over here and talk to me. And some people talk to me, and I would have business cards in my pocketbook, and I would lie. They say, oh, you have a card? And I say, no, I'm sorry, I don't have any cards today. And leave out. And never, I'm in the room for a reason. But I never got what I came for, because I was like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want nobody to talk to me. Craziness, because I'm just solo, and I'm not an introvert. Like, I'm a sociable person, depending on what setting that I'm in. So I don't know why I was like that, but I honestly did not. Because I was thinking, like, okay, if I talk to these people, something about me is going to be revealed that I don't want them to know, and deal or whatever, incompetence or whatever it is. So I was like, it's better, let me get the information that the presenter is presenting. That's all that I came for, and leave. No, that is not what I came for. I should have stayed in the room and made some connections, because they could have been my helpmate.
Looking for amazing products to help boost your first class lifestyle? Then head over to firstclasslifeshop.com, where you can treat yourself to personal development books and workbooks, lifestyle affirmation cards, adult coloring books, mugs, notebooks, hoodies, t-shirts, leggings, and more. All products were designed to help you master your mindset, walk in your purpose, and live your first class life, because you deserve it. So treat yourself today at firstclasslifeshop.com. Again, that's firstclasslifeshop.com. You know what else it reminds me of? It makes me think of what we were saying earlier about how you went to that predominantly white space, and as you observed your peers, all of a sudden you were like, okay, mediocre is okay. So it kind of further, and like, that's one way that it showed up, whether you recognize it or not. But like, I'm gonna go to this meeting, do what I need to do, and I'm gonna leave. Like, being mediocre, doing the bare minimum, doing the basics is how you showed up. And obviously that wasn't to your best benefit, but like, it kind of was a result of what you had learned from middle school in that space. So what advice would you share with the first class family that may be in a space where they are one of few, as in they're the only female, or they're the only Black person, or they're the only fill in the blank here in this space where nobody looks like them for one reason or another? What advice would you share with them to help them succeed in that situation?
I say you show up as your most incredible self, and you do not, like you said, shrink yourself. You do not do that. Like, you, regardless if you are one of many or all of the, everybody looks like you, you always show up putting your best foot forward and presenting yourself in the most incredible way. And because reputation and what you put out, it is everything. Like, it is so important. And you never want to misrepresent yourself. It's bad enough somebody else can paint your narrative and is not going to be correct. You do not want to paint the narrative of yourself in any shape or way that is not who you are. So I say, show up, be bold enough to show up as your complete and total self, and your most authentic self, because that's where the freedom lies. The freedom lies there when we are free enough to show up as our most authentic self, our most magnificent self. I mean, it's just, oh wow, the sky is the limit at that point. And please do not take on what I did in seventh grade. Don't be mediocre. Nothing about mediocre is great. Nothing about it. God did not create you to be mediocre. He created you for a purpose. And I don't see nowhere in the Bible where anybody's purpose was mediocre. Nowhere. It was all for greatness. All for greatness. And so I say, show up and be great. And it takes a level of confidence. I know it takes a level of being bold. And it's a tough place, but I know you're equipped for it. So just show up and show out. Like, This is what I tell my son: be your most magnificent self. And show the world. Let's show us the best parts of you, not the worst parts. You know what I mean? The best parts. We all mix with sugar and spice and everything nice, or however they want to say it. But show up and be as most confident as you can be. Please.
Yeah, so
please.
Yes, take it from both of us. Two complete opposites. Don't go in there being mediocre, but on the other hand, don't go in there overachieving, being a perfectionist either. Like, find the happy medium between the both of us.
Yes, I say strive for authenticity, not perfection. This authenticity, when you are your most authentic self, that's when you are your best self. And that's the person we want. We want your best self. Yes.
Yes. So, beautiful, Kizzy. Are you up for a little game?
Yes.
It is time for us to play First Class Favorite Things. And it's really easy. I'm going to ask you, what is your favorite, fill in the blank, and you fill in the blank. Simple, right? And so you only have 10 seconds to answer the question, though.
Okay.
So we'll start with something easy. What is your favorite candy? Go.
Oh, Kit Kat. I love Kit Kats. Everybody know that's the way to my heart. My son's getting on my nerves. They'll go buy me a Kit Kat. Here, Mom. And I'll be like, oh, you're my favorite. Kit Kat.
And funny thing, Kit Kat packaging is red. And so we have like just this red thing going on today. Yeah. What is your favorite book, title, and author? Go.
My favorite book right now, because it changes every day, but right now I'm reading Tunde's book, Speak Out. And my girlfriend gave that book to me. And so right now that's my favorite book.
It's called Speak Out by who?
By Tunde. And I don't want to mess up her last name. If anybody has a Peloton and she's one of the instructors on there, Tunde. Unde is her first name. I can't pronounce her last name. Allah, something. Yes.
What is your favorite activity to do to relax? Go.
Oh, goodness. I'm not a relaxer. I'll just be honest, because my brain is always like, and I'm just as hyper as I can be. But my favorite thing to do is travel. Like, that's my happy place.
Technically, you missed the buzzer. So because you missed the buzzer, you have to give us all a consequence.
Okay.
So whatever that may be, whatever you want it to be, maybe it is you have to walk for 5 minutes, or you have to do 10 push-ups, or you have to take a shot of tequila. If you're not a drinker, then water. I don't know. Like, what is the consequence?
The consequence for me, because I missed the buzzer, is I did not get on my Peloton this morning, and I was feeling all fancy when I looked into this camera, and I was like, oh, I'm definitely not going home, and I'm going to stay cute. I am going to get on the Peloton, and instead of doing a 30-minute ride, I'll do a 45-minute ride.
Okay, so that means to make that universal for everyone, you have to work out for 45 minutes today.
Yes, today.
All right.
45 minutes.
Figure it out. Whether you want to walk, go to the gym, put on some YouTube in your living room, get on your Peloton if you have one, or ride a bike if you have one. You got to work out for 45 minutes because Kizzy missed the buzzer.
I missed the buzzer. But you look good in the end, so it's a win-win.
What is your favorite drink? Go. Can't say water.
No, my favorite drink is a lemon drop martini, no sugar on the rim, and Grey Goose with Grey Goose vodka. That's my favorite drink.
Okay. What is your favorite song, artist, and title? Go.
Oh my gosh. Oh, my favorite song. I would have to say anything by Usher because I love Usher.
Pick one.
Okay. Oh gosh, I want to spot. Sorry, Usher. I can't think of one. Oh my. Okay, can I go to my phone? Let's see. Do I have time? Okay. Let's pick a Usher.
Well, you missed the buzzer already, but you still got to give us a song.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, Usher. So, okay, Confessions. That's the song I like, right? Yes, Confessions.
Confessions by Usher. Got it. And so now we'll make it 45. We'll say it was 30 minutes for the first buzzer, and the second buzzer now is 45 minutes that you got to work out. If you miss another buzzer, we got to bump it up to an hour workout. So, all right. What is your favorite place to travel to specifically? Go.
Okay. My favorite place to travel to is the Caribbean, anywhere in the Caribbean. I love it. I love the water. I love the food. I would say if I have to narrow it down, I'm going to say it is Turks and Caicos. That's
Turks and Caicos. Now, technically, because you didn't give the specific place until the end, you would have missed the buzzer, but we don't let that slide because you did say the Caribbean. So we'll let you have that one. What is your favorite catchphrase or saying? Go.
I know you lying. I usually have an explicit word in it. But I know you lying. That's what I say to my son when they do. I know you lying.
The F-bomb in the middle of there. Got it. One more. What is your favorite emoji? Go.
Oh, my favorite emoji is the face with the hand over it. I use it all the time.
Like the face
Yes.
palm one, like, oh, Lord.
Really, yes.
Yes. Well, thank you for playing our First Class Favorite Things. And listen, First Class family, make sure you subscribe to our private Patreon community because you will have access to our First Class Favorite Things list, curated by our phenomenal guests. We have our reading list, our song playlist, our places to travel, and because we prioritize self-care on this show, all of our favorite relaxing activities. So if you want access to our First Class Favorite Things list, make sure you join our private Patreon community. And there's also lots of other bonus resources like bonus videos from our guests, dropping extra gems, bonus resources, and so much more. So click the link, join today. Meanwhile, let's get back into this discussion. Do you want to be surrounded by other high-achieving women who are working on their goals just like you? Are you looking for your circle that's passionate about their own growth yet still wants to see you shine? Do you desire to be supported through collaborations and connections instead of competition? Then Cowork and Chill is your place to be. Cowork and Chill is a hybrid of virtual co-working and virtual networking. It's a community of women who are striving to build living legacies. This is the space to create meaningful relationships with other equally yoked women where you're being poured into just as much as you pour out. So if you're looking for your crew for supportive accountability, then sign up today at coworkandchill.com. That's COWORKANDCHILL. coworkandchill.com. Miss Kizzy Dogan, if you're new to the First Class family, then let me share with you that First Class Life is actually an acronym that stands for all of the different characteristics and skills that you want to embody into your lifestyle to be able to create a first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. If you want to find out what that acronym stands for, then you can do one of two things. Either one, go back to the very first episode of the First Class Life show where I describe each of them in detail, or two, head to firstclasslifeshop.com and buy the book, First Class Life, 10 Key Factors to Create a Life Full of Purpose, Fulfillment, and Happiness. That's where you can find out what First Class Life actually stands for. Meanwhile, Miss Kizzy, which key factor of first class life do you resonate with the most and why?
Self-worth is the factor that I resonate with the most. And why is because for so long, I thought I was a confident person, thought I had high self-esteem, thought I was all of that in a bag of chips until I started to do some self-work and I discovered none of that equals self-worth. how you think. Yes, you think you look pretty, but that doesn't mean you think you're valuable. Yes, you think you are intelligent or whatever, but that doesn't mean that you feel that you are deserving of certain things. And so I had to realize that the way we see ourselves, our self-worth, our self-love is the key to it all. And if we do not have that, nothing else matters, because it's not going to all fall into place. So I think self-worth is the glue that holds the faith together, the intention together, all of the key factors that it stands for. It's the self-worth that resonates with me the most, because it is the most, for me, I feel like that is one of the key things, next to developing a relationship with God and having a personal relationship with God. Self-worth, how we see ourselves, how we view ourselves, how we feel about ourselves, how we think we are deserving of things, how we show up. It all is a matter of self-worth. And so that goes back to me as a little girl, where I just was like, well, if I could just be mediocre, which I limit my self-worth at that point, and I didn't even realize it until we're just now having this conversation. So thank you, Lindsay. I got some more work to do. So
you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank the First Class family, because this is who it's for. So they require us to show up and show out and be raw and be vulnerable. So thank you, family. So let us know, how do you impact the world as a leader today?
As a leader today, I impact the world in several ways. I am an entrepreneur, so I have a facilities maintenance company where we provide facilities for commercial property. So that's janitorial, landscape, blah, 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 blah. So that's how I impact the world with, I love to hire. I love the fact that I can put people in, gainfully have them employed, make a difference in their communities and their lives and their homes, because sometimes these people that I hire are usually overlooked. They usually don't qualify for any other job. So, but they come to me, I clean them up, I send them out, and they go do their thing. And so that's how I impact the world. But most recently, being an author and writing a book to inspire young girls and offer advice and to teach them how to become their best selves is what I'm most proud of right now. And being the teen girl mentor, mentoring young girls to be better than me as a teenager. Don't be rebellious. Be excellent. Be smart, be kind, be beautiful, be amazing. So that's how I impact the world as a leader.
Yes, and we definitely need all of those things. So how can everybody reach you on these internet streets?
So I hang out mostly on Instagram. I am on all social media platforms, but I'll be honest, I dip in and dip out, but I am on Instagram all day, which is probably killing my brain cells, but I love to see the pictures of everybody and see what they're doing. So find me at I am Kizzy Dogan, KIZZY DOGAN. It's the spelling of my name. That's where I am on all social media platforms. I am Kizzy Dogan.
Yes, thank you for coming and sharing. And your fabulous red, honey. Yes, yes, yes. When we first connected, we were like, what? Okay. Alignment. So, all right, final piece of advice. What is like those final words that you can share with us to help us create our first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness?
Yes, I would say to all of that, the first thing is to discover what you're passionate about. And once you discover what you're passionate about, that's usually where your purpose lies. And also, when we discover our purpose and our passion, we discover our superpower. And that's how we begin to be intentional. And so I would encourage everyone to live an intentional life, a purpose-driven life, so they can become their best selves and they can live their best life. You cannot live your best life willy-nilly, floating through the air and just showing up mediocre, so discover your passion, your purpose, your superpowers, and begin to live a life of purpose and intention. Thank you, Lindsay.
you. Thank you. And thank you, First Class family. You have spent the past hour here with us, and we do not take that lightly. We greatly appreciate you. Again, make sure you subscribe, share, like, comment, do all the things, leave a review. Sharing is caring, okay? And meanwhile, keep going out there, maximizing your impact as a leader and creating your first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness, because you absolutely, absolutely, absolutely deserve it, and so much more. Until next time, bye.
Bye-bye.
Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. But please be sure to subscribe to the First Class Life Show. And don't forget to rate, leave a review, and join our private community so that we can continue to provide you with great personal development conversations to help you maximize your impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. You deserve it.